On today's menu, we've got a Jaguar's Eye. And I already started with a sketch and a little grid. We're gonna get right into it, guys. And I am starting to do the line out around the eyes. And I will tell you a little bit about this painting, the whys, why I'm doing this, and then how I'm doing this. So thank you first and foremost for joining me on my channel. My name is Mimi and I love to paint animals. So this painting I actually am doing for my 8-year-old daughter so that she can have it at her desk at school. And the reason is that she does struggle a little bit with separation anxiety. She's also on the spectrum. And which spectrum am I talking about? I am talking about the autism spectrum. She is high functioning autistic, but she has a really hard time being away from me. So I figured that I would give her something that she could look at that she knows that her mama made, that hopefully she won't feel that she's alone and that she can still feel that I am close to her. You'll see a lot of fast forwarding in this video because a lot of it is rinse and repeat. This particular part, I am just doing the outline of the eye, and then I'm going to start working on the details inside the eye, and then I will work on the fur later on. Working in small sections I really like because I can start working on details and colors and stuff pretty quickly. Just putting in the black like I just did, kind of boring. You just kind of follow the reference photo and you put things in the right place. And obviously I already sketched it out, so it was fairly easy to kind of follow my sketch and then just putting in the color. I chose the Jaguar's Eye because of its blue color, because I had just done the cat before that, and if you want to go check out that video, feel free to do so. It's about Molly, our domestic short hair cat, but and the video before that was another cat. So I wanted to have a different color for the eye. I didn't want it to be green. So that's why I chose the Jaguar, but that is still a cat. So we're still in the cat family with that. So here I'm just putting in the smaller details in the eyes, and this layer is still pretty thin, just so you know, but so that I can still continue layering over top of it. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of encouragement that if you make a few mistakes in this area or at this stage, that is okay. You know, some of my lines are pretty like thick, and I mean, I found them thick, but if you can, as you continue putting in other layers and other textures and strokes, it is not as obvious as it is at the moment. This is a canvas board, by the way, and I'm sorry, I don't quite recall what size it is. It's either 4 by 6 inches or 5 by 7, so it's no bigger than a photo. So it's a pretty small little surface to work on, but as you can see, it's a very zoomed in object that I'm painting. I used a reference photo for this, and the reference photo had like a really good portion of the body of the Jaguar. I zoomed it in far enough that all I got was the eye and a little bit of the surrounding fur, because I really wanted to focus on the eye here. And when you do pick photos online, I like to use royalty-free ones so that, you know, there's no copyrights on these, so that if I wanted to sell this painting in the future, I can. But also, when you look at these photos, when you select one that you like, zoom in to see if the picture is still pretty sharp, because that was important for me, because I knew I needed a close-up look of that eye. So always check before you download, and you know, you might end up being disappointed, and that will be sad. This is an initial stage of trying to get a little bit of a reflection in that eye. And don't worry, the painting is not just the eye. We're going to go on to the fur in a little bit. And I just wanted to, you know, put this first part down so that I had something actually, you know, alive, although I'm trying to make it look as alive as possible, kind of looking back at me. Although honestly, this eye is not looking at me. It's looking kind of away from me. So you've seen me use this brush earlier in the video, and this is a kind of a splayed brush. Do not throw away your splayed brushes. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Like one little dab with paint, you know, off of this brush can actually create a lot of tiny little details, and you can see it here too. It's like, you know, little tiny dots, and it doesn't take me long to do it. And yeah, splayed brushes are really great for that. They're also good for when you do landscaping and foliage and trees and leaves and all that fun stuff. Back into some itty bitty tiny little details to try to make the eye look a little glossy, a little wet. And at the end of that eye, like there on the right hand side, there was something that like kind of resembled a bit of like a membrane. Not quite sure what it was, but I tried to stick as close to my reference photo as possible. Go back in with black because I wanted to make sure that that pupil was pretty dark. By the way, that first initial layer that I put on there, like the outline of the eye, was not like black. It was kind of a combination of Payne's gray and probably a hint of black, but I never go in like, you know, the blackest color that I have right off the bat. It's always a bit lighter, always has a little hint of a different color in it, and then later on I will put in like the deep shadows with that actual Mars black. Zooming out so that you can see it from a distance rather than having your nose right on top of it. I do this after every session that I paint. I step back and look at it from a distance and not like, you know, with my nose basically touching the canvas. Now I'm going to start putting in some of the spots. Again, this is not straight up Mars black out of the tube. This is a combination of a few colors together. I think I mixed together Payne's gray, I think it's burnt sienna or raw sienna, one of the darker brown colors. I'm sorry, I can't quite recall which colors I mixed together, but as you can see, it is a bit of a brownish color. It's not entirely black, and that is on purpose. As I do this, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to lay it down the direction that the fur is actually going. As you can see, it's a bit of a diagonal here. And this does not have to be precise. Now, this is what it looks like after I filled in most of the spots. You can see also a little bit on the corner in the left and underneath the eye that there's a slight different texture there. And now I'm going to go in with a round brush and I'm going in between. And what I do is I grab a mid-tone color. So this is not going to be the final color of the fur. This is a mid-tone. So it's not, you know, the brightest it's going to be. It's going to be a darker color. And oh, it's okay to go over those spots that you already put in, or that I already put in, however you want to see it. If you want to do this painting, feel free. I would like to see it though. If you would like, if you're going to duplicate this painting, let me know. And a little fast forwarded here. Like I said, a lot of rinse and repeat. And around that eye was a lighter fur color. So that's where I'm going in here with at the moment. My God, it's hard to talk. So yeah, a lighter color. And I'm just basically still filling in, like blocking in and covering that gray layer that I put in the first place. Now, why do I do that? I always put another layer of color on there. I find it easier. The paint has something else to adhere to rather than just the canvas board. And it gives me like a really quick overview of what still needs to be filled in. And one of my favorite techniques, this stipple technique, this creates texture so quick. And especially if you wanted to do like very short type fur, you know, if you're looking at an animal, not every part of their body is like long, you know, hair. Some of it is really short. And this technique will actually kind of give that, you know, illusion of that. You can see the painting is starting to look a little less flat now. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my first layer of fur. I'm going to do a lot of rinse and repeat on this particular technique. This is not going to be the final color. This is not going to be the final layer, but this is how I do it. And when you do it, make sure you go again with the direction that the fur is actually going in, but don't do every single stroke exactly the same. Overlap a little bit. My daughter was quite excited when she saw me working on it because she had asked for a while. I mean, and I had done the initial gray layer and the grid and the sketch, and it sat on my canvas, or on my easel for a while. So when I finally started painting, she was super excited. Here's that same brush that I used earlier on the other side, but now I'm stippling in a darker color. It's crazy how quick that just, you know, gives a lot more depth to a painting. It almost seems like now things are starting to blend together. They're not just like different parts and different blocked in areas. Now it's starting to kind of come together. And I also did it around the spots a little bit just to soften them up. Back in with a round brush. Now this area right here got kind of sort of going towards the front of the face and the nose. Again, pretty short hair. Now this is also one of my favorite things, is to use my fingers. I don't think any of my paintings don't have me putting my finger on the canvas. Seems to be a bit of a signature move. And with that same color, I continue on, and I'm going to put in another layer of fur, or basically just, you know, lines on the canvas, because that's all it is, in slightly different directions. We'll continue on throughout the whole painting, and you can see I'm changing the direction, the way that the fur is going here. Now, after I've done that, I go back in with a dark color just to deepen the shadows, like where I really want it to be black. I'm going to go back in with, you know, a different brush here in this case, and just a nice dark color. I think this is just straight marsh black, just to make the black pop now. And it's okay if you go over what you just painted too with some of the fur, the lighter fur, because there's other layers coming. Teeny weeny brush again, and then the slightly lighter color. Like, that's what I did every single time. I made the color just a smidge lighter than the color that I used before that. And that's how you create that, like, you know, realistic look, is just add a little bit more white, or sometimes a little bit more yellow, you know. But in my case, you know, I started off with a kind of a light yellow, and then adding white a little bit more, and then adding white, and then a little bit more for the next layer, and a little bit more for the next layer. That's how you can, and make sure you keep spaces in between your strokes so that the other layer that you put underneath will start to shine through, and then you create that really soft effect. Like, you know, I think it's a her. This Jaguar, I just decided that it's a girl, and after every layer, the fur looks just softer. Looks like I want to touch it. I can almost feel it when I look at it. And this is a part that I absolutely enjoyed, is putting some of these, you know, eyelashes, or these overhanging hairs, I guess, but mostly eyelashes. And every single hair or stroke that I put on, it just started to become so much more alive. I was totally in my element when I did this. And we're going back in with a lighter layer and get more highlights, as if the sun, you know, is kissing the fur. We're back into that part where it's all pretty short. And again, a lot of stippling, a lot of tiny little strokes, and then diffusing it a little bit. Took me a little bit before I kind of got to where I really liked the texture and what it looked like, because it's an illusion, right? You just put stuff on a canvas and then it starts to look like something. It's pretty magical, really, if you think about it. Rinse and repeat. Go over it again in spots where I feel like I need a little bit more light, a little bit more of a highlight, and it's just looking better every single time. That's when I start to like, oh my gosh, I'm really enjoying this. Look at what I'm doing. It's amazing. How did I do this? What the heck? So here's the power of glazing. So what I did is use, you know, some colors, mix them together, and then I add water. And now I wanted to bring some warmth back into the into the fur, because it looks a little cold. And this is how I do that. I just add glazes in spots where I feel I want some warmth, where I want a little bit of a kind of like a shadow. But you know, you can paint this over top of the paint you've already done. Make sure it's dry, and all of a sudden you can change the tone of that particular part of your painting really, really quick. I'm done with the fur now, and I'm gonna go on to the reflection in the eye. I just wanted to go over that and make it as good as possible. I don't want to use the word perfect, because nothing is perfect, but you know, I wanted to make the eye look like, you know, it was reflecting something in the sky, whatever the Jaguar is looking at, and I wanted to make it look wet. When you look at it really close, it looks like a mess, in my opinion. you know, and with this particular part, I step away from the painting quite a bit. Like step back, look at it. Does it look good? No. Okay, we're going to continue. But as you can see, I got the camera zoomed in pretty close. So it's a combination of white and sometimes also like, you know, blue, and trying to offset the brightness with a bit of a darker color to create a bit of a, you know, a shadow to contrast. But yeah, we're almost done. Final stretch, final stretch. And of course, one more time going over the pupil and the areas in the eye that I felt like needed that total blackness. Couple more strokes and we're done. This painting took me about 3 hours for painting and then maybe 1 hour as in prep. So about 4 hours in total. Jaguars Eye.